Hi folks, welcome to Time to Talk with Margaret Armand-Smith. I've just had such a lovely hour chatting to my dear friend Margaret, who, as well as being a fellow author, also breeds Cocker Spaniels. So it was great just chewing the fat, talking about the Cocker Spaniel breed, and also Margaret's books. She writes children's books, so we had a good chat about the children's books as well. So get yourself a cuppa, settle down, and enjoy Time to Talk with Margaret Armand-Smith. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Hi folks, I'm here with my dear friend Margaret Armand-Smith, who not only shares a passion for dogs, but she's also a fellow author. So before we get on to books, I want to start off talking about dogs, and then it'll be books, and then it'll be dogs again, no doubt. So Margaret, why dogs? What was the interest in dogs? Where did the love of dogs come from?
Oh, both my parents. My father was a farmer at one time, and he bred Alsatians.
Okay.
And my mother had a chicken farm in southern Rhodesia. She was English, but she went out, and it was southern Rhodesia in those days, Zimbabwe. And she bred Great Danes. And when they got together, they had a Great Dane. Unfortunately, we lost her during the war to cancer. Mother used to say that she had to queue for longer for the dog food than she did for the food for the family.
Oh my God, you don't think about, well, I certainly don't think about buying dog food in the war, but of course, there would have been all the rations and everything.
Yes, yeah. She said the queues were much longer for the dog food than they were for people.
Wow. So did she tell you much about, did the dog have its own ration book?
I actually got no idea. No. All I know was that she was, I mean, I was a baby at the time, and all I know was that she was a very gentle, very loving dog, and Mother was absolutely devastated when she lost her.
I bet.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Father had left the farm. Farm had been sold, and he'd gone to join the Air Force. He actually joined it as a ground crew. He was an office administrator. They tested him on one of these flying ships, these sort of simulators.
Okay.
And at the end of it, and at the end of his practice run, the chap with him said, "Well, congratulations, you're the first person who's ever flown a plane under seawater."
How funny.
So he was obviously not suited to become a pilot.
No. So how did they go from the Great Danes and the German Shepherds, or the Alsatians it was called then?
Yeah.
Why did they go from then to Cockers? Because it's Cockers that you've got, isn't it? So how did the family end up with Cockers from Great Danes?
Well, after Father had sold the farm, we went to live in Kensington with my mother's parents. But the bombs started falling. And my aunt had married a Southern Irishman, and she said, "Come over here, we're okay." Until Pat Scott, that's my father's name, till Pat Scott married quarters. So Mother packed up my brother and my sister and myself, and we went off to Southern Ireland, to a place called Malahide, which is quite near Dublin. When Father finally did manage to get married quarters, he contacted Mother and said, "You can bring the children home now." And my brother, who was 6 at the time, came rushing in and said, Mummy, Mrs. O'Sullivan says you can have Sally O'Sullivan if you give her £1 on your bicycle." Sally O'Sullivan was a pedigree blue roan Cocker Spaniel. Right. And she'd been given to the O'Sullivans as part payment of a debt. Now, they had a farm, and as far as they were concerned, all animals had to work for their keep.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sally didn't work for her keep, and so she lived off what the chickens left in the farmyard, and she slept on the peat embers to keep warm. So Mother said, "That's fine, we'll do that, but I have to have her right now, because I've got to tidy her up and get her fattened up a bit before I take her back to the UK." Otherwise, I will probably be arrested for dog cruelty
Okay.
as I land. So that's how we got into cockers. And we had Sally O'Sullivan. We always called her Sally O'Sullivan. I mean, obviously, when we were calling her, we called her Sally. But whenever we referred to her, it was always Sally O'Sullivan. And we loved her dearly. And we came home one day about 10, I must have been about 10 or 11, I suppose. And the house felt different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It felt really different. We could not, my sister and I could not, my brother was away at boarding school, but we couldn't put our finger on what was wrong. And then suddenly my sister turned to Mother and said, "Where's Sally?" And Mother just ran out of the room crying. She'd had to have Sally put down because she was incurably ill. But then my grandmother, who lived by this time, was now living with another aunt of mine up in the Lake District, came to the rescue. There was a Cocker Spaniel breeder up there. So she went and bought Mother a puppy. And that puppy was put onto a train in the Lake District and into the guards van. Came all the way down to Gloucestershire to where we were living. And we had her. And of course, Mother wanted to choose a name. And we said, "No, it's got to be Sally. It's got to be Sally."
What colour was she?
Blue roan.
Another blue roan?
Another blue roan, yes. So that's how we got into cockers.
Oh my goodness. And it's the English cockers, isn't it, as opposed to the working cocker?
Well, there was no such thing as a working cocker in those days.
Okay, so it was all just Cocker Spaniel?
It was just Cocker Spaniels. In fact, when my husband and I went abroad some years ago to live for 6 years, when we came back, I wanted to get a Cocker Spaniel, and I then discovered they had what they call working cockers. And actually, the Kennel Club, if you ask the Kennel Club for names of breeders of Cocker Spaniels, show Cocker Spaniels, they will send you Cocker Spaniel breeders of both because they don't actually recognise the difference.
That's right. There's no difference between, on pedigree, there's no difference. I mean, they're just Cocker Spaniels, aren't they?
Yes.
And yet they're chalk and cheese, really, aren't they? You know, the conformation's different. They're longer in the back. And
they're much more like the old-fashioned cocker. I mean, I've got photographs of one of our Cocker Spaniels back in the 1950s. And they didn't have anywhere near the feathering that they've got. And
so the working cockers more like
the traditional old cocker.
The working is.
Yeah.
Okay, so over the years, the English cocker has got a lot more compact in the back, hasn't it? And longer ears and longer feathering.
More fur, more feathering.
Apart from Spud, who's just like a hairy monster. He's just got everything everywhere.
So we had Cocker Spaniels from then onwards. And then Mother started breeding them. So over 50 years ago, she took out the kennel name Anida, which I have now. And like me, she was just a hobby breeder. She just bred for the fun of it and finding nice homes.
What does Juanita mean?
Anida?
Anida
is an Indian tribe in North America. And my father's mother was American, and she came from that area.
Right.
So that's the reason for the Anida kennel name.
That's really, I love finding out where things like that come from. That's brilliant. So was your mum partial to the blue roan? Did she stick with the blue roan, or did she then look at the different colours?
No, basically we just had blue roans. She would have been very pleased if some different colours had turned up in the litters, but they never did because she tended to use a blue roan dog. It's only later that we've managed to get the different colours coming more frequently, I think.
Right. And when did you start breeding? Because I've known you a long time, and you're actually one of the breeders that I spoke to when I was writing the puppy books. Is a breeder that I really respect and have. I do. I've got a lot of time for anybody who's breeding, especially cockers. I always say, go and talk to Margaret, she'll help. So when did you start breeding, Margaret? When did you go, I want to start breeding these little dogs?
After I came back from Australia, I had two and a half years in Australia, and after I came back from Australia, I was 24 and Mother gave me my 21st birthday present, which was a Cocker Spaniel puppy. It's what I wanted. And so I bred from her and enjoyed it. And Mother, obviously I gave Mother the, she registered my puppies for me, because she technically still owned my bitch, because we never transferred it across. And then when I got married, we had a litter in Tunbridge, when we lived in Tunbridge. But then we went abroad, and by this time we'd lost our last cocker before we went abroad. And so we were abroad for 6 years. But we came back in 1989, and I don't know why, I found that the children were nagging me because they kept saying, you won't come for walks, you won't come for walks. And I couldn't understand why I wouldn't go for walks. And then I realised it's because I didn't have a dog.
Oh, okay.
And to me, that is practically the most important reason for going for a walk.
Yes.
So we got a Cocker Spaniel, obviously. And that's when I started breeding, not regularly, but, you know, the odd puppy, the odd litter. And we now have 5 of the little darlings.
Yes, the little darlings who've just been put out of the room.
Yes.
Oh, bless
them. They're all related. There's Obi, who's the start of the line, because I sadly lost my original line when my youngest bitch got knocked down and killed. So Obi started the line. Then there's Blossom and her 2 daughters, Cressida and Phoenix. Cressida was born in the first litter of Blossoms and Phoenix in the last litter, so there's an age difference. And then Cressida's daughter, the little minx, who we call Echo.
Oh.
And she does echo her barking quite well.
Does she? So I knew you, I mean, Craigie, there's so much I want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you about living abroad when we talk about writing, because I know you did, you know, that really fired up the storytelling when you were living abroad again. But I met you in, was it 2007 or 2008 when I come back from New Zealand? And it was at the church hall. Do you remember?
That's right.
The church was behind us. Yes. And every quarter of an hour the bells went.
Yes.
Everyone had to stop what they were doing and listen to the bells. And that was with little Blueberry.
No. With who?
Was it not with Blueberry?
Yes, no, not, it was Nama, wasn't it? Was it Nama?
No, I thought it was little Blueberry.
No, I didn't have a Blueberry.
Blackberry?
Blackberry?
It was little Blackberry. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yes, it'd be Blackberry.
It'll be like Blackberry. It's so funny because what's the phone? It's the phone of Blackberry or Blueberry? I'm being a blonde now because I always used to get confused with the phone and the dog, the name in my head.
Oh, it was Blackberry phones, yes.
Blackberry phones, yes. And Blackberry the dog as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I used to get confused and I used to call the phone Blueberry. Real blonde moment. No, it was little Blackberry because I can remember her coming in to the village hall with you and she was hiding.
That would be right because she's now 9. Would be about right, wouldn't it?
It was 2009, so that would have been 2007, so that would have been 13 years ago.
No, it must have been Nama. Must have been Nama.
Really?
Mm.
How old was Blackberry then?
Blackberry's 9.
No, definitely. I thought it was Blackberry. It mustn't have been then. How interesting.
I'd have to look it up. I get confused.
I get really confused. Well, I didn't think I was confused until a minute ago, and now I know that I'm really confused. I'm going to get my old records out and have a look at who was it.
I think it was Nama because she did gun dog training with you as well when you started the gun dog training.
Did she? Oh God, it's the blind leading the blind. I've got no idea. Anyway,
yeah, right, let's carry on.
moving swiftly on. But yeah, I mean, you did the Good Citizen.
Yes.
You did all the Good Citizen stuff, and then you came on the gun dog field, didn't you, with that? And it was so lovely having like a little English cocker, very, very compact English cocker. doing retrieves and.
That was Cressy who came to that, wasn't it? But
But
Nama also did. I think it was Nama. I'd have to look it up. I've got all the certificates upstairs.
Yeah. So I know Cressy did and Obi did for a little while as well, didn't she?
Yeah, Obi was a nightmare because Obi belonged to my husband. And so I would bring I would bring her with me. I would bring her with me when I couldn't bring Cressy because she was having puppies or something.
Uh-huh.
And I brought her first of all before Cressy came. That's right, must have done.
Yeah.
And he never trained her. So she used to have one session a week.
Uh-huh.
And then she was allowed to do whatever she wanted to do with my husband.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember that. So, yeah. No, but it was just so nice seeing them.
Portia, it was Portia.
Was it?
Yes. It was Portia. Yeah.
Okay.
She was gorgeous.
That was a light bulb movement. Ding!
Yeah, bless her, it was Portia.
Oh, bless. Okay. I remember there was something like 4 or 5 generations in the end that ended up on the training field, which is fantastic.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, most of them have.
Yeah.
Apart from Echo, who would drive you to drink, I think.
What's she like? Are you doing anything with her?
I do take them. We have a village hall in Worton, and it's obviously been since lockdown we haven't done any training, but I've been taking Echo to the Tuesday mornings, and Wednesday afternoon I've been taking Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
And fortunately, the other people there think Echo is a hoot, and they absolutely love her, and they laugh at her all the time. Otherwise, if they were really serious, I think that they would have murdered her.
Oh,
she's a bright little character. She is such a character. And Phoenix, I took her. She's she's gorgeous too, but she's a bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I didn't socialise her properly as a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to make amends, but it's too late though. But once she gets to know the dog, she's fine. But
okay,
if she sees a strange dog, she gets a bit agitated.
It's really interesting, isn't it? You've got an optimum window for socialisation, and then that, it's just really hard work, isn't it?
Yeah. And unfortunately, I missed it with Phoenix. And of course, because they're living as a pack, I tended to think, oh, well, that'll be all right. But no, it's not.
Yeah, it's really tough because when you've got a homebred dog with like the mum and the rest of the litter, it's really difficult because people say that they train each other, but then they train each other the bad things as well as the good things, and then they just kind of go along as a pack, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Separate them to allow them to emotionally mature on their own and be able to face things on their own.
Yeah, I didn't make that mistake with Echo. I got her training at 6 months.
Brilliant.
Trained quickly, and she actually loves any dog she sees. She's not at all frightened of dogs, big ones, small ones, anyone's,
That's great.
But Phoenix gets very worried, and you can see it in her eyes that she's worried when she sees a strange dog, and it's hard.
Yeah. What is it about the cocker breed that you like, other than I know you kind of grew up with cockers, but what is it about the cocker breed that makes you go, I don't want any other breed? What is it about this breed?
They are gorgeous. Their temperament is to die for. I've got photographs of them lying next door to babies, and obviously would never leave them in the same room with a baby by themselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely loving the children. They are wicked. They've got a sense of humour. I don't know. I just can't do without them. Even if I had another dog, I would definitely always have a Cocker Spaniel. Always, always, always.
You would never venture away from that breed. Have you had other breeds other than when you were growing up with the Alsatian?
Nope.
You haven't had another breed?
No.
Okay.
Mother always reckoned that they were a good sized dog.
Uh-huh.
A small house. She said, they're Not too big, but they're a proper dog. They are a dog, they're not a toy.
Yeah.
And she's right. When she used to complain about Becky, our Great Dane, who used to wipe the table up clean of the coffee table clean of all the coffee cups with her tail.
Yeah, I did have that issue having Labradors, but we now have all of the furniture around the outside of the room, and so there's just nothing in the middle of the room, because I can remember Bart like that, he would turn, and as he turned, his tail would take like the
Tail just would sweep everything off.
everything goes.
Mm.
And then you'd run around trying to pick it all up, and
anything that was a great game.
Oh, it was a brilliant game. But no, everything in our house is like up against the wall, so you don't have that, like having to have a small turning circle for the Labrador or anything. But
no, they are. And another good thing about them is when you exercise them. Cocker Spaniels appreciate any exercise. If you can only take them for a short distance, they say thank you very much. If you want to go for a long distance, they say we're with you all the way. If you want to go out a second time, yes, I'll come. They're just great companions. Although I have drawn the line to having the 2 youngest ones in our bedroom. We've still got the 3 oldest ones in our bedroom.
Have you?
But I have managed to stop the 2 young. They now sleep in the kitchen.
Oh, well done. It's the thing that I find about Spud being my only cocker that I've had is the Labradors are really polite. Like they'll come over for a stroke and they'll sit and you'll go, oh, hello, how are you doing? And you say hello to Spud, and before you know it, he's kind of wrapped around your neck.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And so that's what I find really, really different in the characters. And having the Goldie as well, he was quite polite, but he was needier. He was needy in the way that the Cocker Spaniels are needy, but not as wrapping himself around your throat. And then the other dogs that I've had in the past have been crossbreeds, and so they come with like all different stuff going on for them. But I just find it really different that you've got the intrinsic traits right across the different breeds.
Oh, yes.
They all have that. With a cocker, it's like under your feet, round your neck. Can't bear to be away from you for 5 minutes. And
I do remember you apologising to us cocker owners once on the field after you'd had
I did
for a short while.
I remember that too, because I can remember I was really strict with the sit stays, wasn't I? And you have to do your sit stays, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And then Spud came home, and he was 16 weeks when I got him, so he'd not been trained. And what I found was, one minute you'd be looking at him and you'd blink and he'd like hovered, 6 inches one way, and it's like, hang on a minute, I only blinked and you moved, and how can this be? They were almost like Dalek, like, the way he would glide side to side like this. And yeah, I did. I remember apologising to everybody for being so strict on the days for everyone when I had my labs. Yeah, it's funny.
But they are a gorgeous breed, I think.
They are. What do you think of the way the breeding is changing?
I think they need to be very careful. Yeah. I think to my way of thinking, a Cocker Spaniel has got to be able to go and work in the field for a whole day. Yeah. And if you make them too small and too fine-boned, they're not going to have the stamina.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to remember why they were bred and what they were bred for.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as important for the show cockers as it is for the working cockers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they were all working dogs. They all came about to getting after the woodcock, and
that's right.
But there's a lot of stuff, and I'm going to be a little bit controversial here, because there's a lot of stuff on, there's been with the cockers, the breeding hasn't been necessarily true. I don't know what it is in like the English cockers, but in the working cockers, there's Springer hit the line. So there's some of the working cocker lines have got a bit of Springer in there as well, and there's a whole load of DNA testing going on according to the forum.
I'm surprised if they've been registered as being Cocker Spaniels in that case.
Yeah, well, yeah, there were.
So
I know. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I can't bear this business of crossbreeding with people, with dogs, and then selling them for vast fortunes.
It's not good, is it? And then also we've got the designer dogs, you know, where they're doing the cockapoos.
Yes.
Are you going to roll your eyes? Yeah, I thought you might.
Yeah, because they say, I mean, initially everybody said, oh, well, you're making a stronger dog. Are you telling me that these other dogs don't have some deficiency in their breed? Is not that going to come through as well as the good genes?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're cute, you know. There's no getting away from it. You look at a cockapoo and you go, oh, they're really cute. But, you know, some of them, the breeding isn't great. And so, you know, and I'll say it now, there are some good cockapoo breeders, but at the end of the day, it's just a crossbreed.
Yes.
To me, it's a crossbreed. And if you're going to get a mutt, then go and get a mutt. Don't put a name on it. You know, the old Heinz, I mean, I had Heinz 57 when I was growing up. I've had 2 Heinz 57s and they were great. And the thing that I don't like about the cockapoos and the labradoodles and the, you know, cockadoodle-doos and the shih tzu, is it the shih poos they're called now, the shih tzu cross poodles, and then there's a whole load of, you know, the cavapoo and the Cavachon. I think there's just all of these breeds that they're putting together and then they're giving them a new name as if they're pedigrees, and they're charging pedigrees.
That's
what I'm against. And people, you know, people are buying these dogs thinking that they're pedigrees because they've got a fancy name, and a lot of the time the parents aren't health tested, and it incited a lot of dog theft over the years, where they were stealing, you know, poodles and gun dogs to do those crosses and turn them into breeding, you know, puppy farming. And I just find it really shocking that this is happening and it's getting worse. And we were talking before we switched on the recording that, you know, now to get a working cocker, you're talking about £3,000 at the minute. We're still in lockdown at the minute. It's the 5th of August.
Yeah.
And it's awful, but I'm also hearing about people paying outside of lockdown, you know, in normal times, people paying like £1,500 for a cockapoo. And you think, but it's a crossbreed, and what health tests have been done, and how do you know what you're going to end up with? Because some of them end up really big, and like some of the labradoodles are absolutely huge. Do you remember the one that went to the village hall when you were training with it? Was it Archie or Alfie? Or do you
remember? Yes.
Remember, really big black thing. He was huge.
Yes.
And she was expecting him to be a knee-high dog, and he was like hip height. He was massive, and he was so strong, mentally strong, you know.
No, I do think that there's an awful lot of misbehaviour going on. A quick buck is what his people are wanting. And I think it's a great shame, because it's not good for dogs. It's certainly not good for owners. It's certainly not good for people who are buying them, and perhaps it's the first time they've had a dog and they've suddenly landed with something that they don't know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very sad.
It is.
People exploit people, I'm afraid.
I mean, that's what people do, isn't it? You know, unfortunately. I mean, I'm quite, I like to believe that everybody's doing the best they can do with their life, and then you come across puppy farmers and I just go, you know what, it just blows my trust out of the water.
It makes you so angry, doesn't it? Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But, I mean, I know you are a fantastic breeder, and a lot of your puppies end up with hearing dogs.
Some of them have, yes.
For the deaf. So how did that come about? I mean, you must feel. Do you feel amazing when the charity comes?
Absolutely.
Like a puppy from your litter.
Cocker Spaniels they want to work with people. And it's a totally different aspect to blind dogs, for the guide dogs for the blind. And when they're out working, they have a notice on them usually saying, please do not talk to me, I'm busy working. With the hearing dogs, they want people to talk to them, because then they talk to the owners.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a way of getting the owners talking to other people,
Ah,
which I think is absolutely brilliant.
it is.
It's not just they've heard the telephone and so they point that out to them, or they've heard somebody at the door and so they point that out. It's actually also helping people socialise. And in fact, I had to take one of my puppies into the vet some while ago. I haven't had a litter for ages. The minx it will be 2 at the end of this month, so that's the last litter.
Okay.
And there was a lady there, and she had a dog which had a hearing dog for deaf on its side.
Uh-huh.
And I went over to her and said that some of mine had been to train as hearing dogs, because hers was a spaniel.
Uh-huh.
And she saw the spaniel and she said, "Is that what they look like when they're small?" And she was really thrilled to see a puppy, because they don't go straight to their new owners, they go training for a year with people, with handlers.
Right. So what? How do they choose? How do they choose which puppy they're going to take?
They come and they see the litter and they put them through different tests.
Okay, so they do the puppy testing. What kind of testing do they do? Because I mean, I've done puppy testing for competition obedience and prey drive. To see what the prey drive in the puppy's like, and also in relation to character testing. Because I quite like strong dogs, high energy strong dogs, and so I would look for that in a puppy, which would be very different. You're a puppy that might be going to like a first time pet home who don't particularly want that very, very strong, high energy dog. So what do they look for when they're coming for a little working?
They're inquisitive, if they wrinkle some paper in their hands, and whether the puppy had a look at it.
Uh-huh.
And if they come when you call them,
uh-huh.
and they're bold. And if you roll a little ball, whether they'll go and sniff it, and if they drop something and they turn around to have a look. So all these are little things, it's little indications as to the alertness, I suppose, of the dog, of what's going on around it.
Yeah, so having a look but not flinching necessarily.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, not being frightened by the noise, not being scared. In fact, what the heck was that? Let's go and have a look.
Yeah, it's really funny because I can remember when Ziggy was about 4 weeks and we went up to see him with Angus, because I always used to take Angus up to the lab so that they could see this big flouncy dog running around, and I can remember just going like that, and Ziggy was just about to go back into the kennel box and he stopped and he just turned around and he just glared at us, it's like, who are you making that noise? And I thought, whoa, that's my boy. I'll have that.
He was something out, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was great.
His dog.
But so I mean, that's really interesting. How old did they do the puppy testing? Did they do it once or did they do it more than once?
They did it once, and then they took them when they were 8 weeks old, like ordinary puppies, and they would go straight to their handlers, their foster parents, and then the foster parents were given instructions as to what to do, and periodically had to take them in for sort of testing and things like that to see how they were getting on. It's amazing. I went up there with a friend to their headquarters. It's absolutely amazing. Met one of my dogs.
Wow.
He was about to go off to his first home, his new home. And it was incredible what they do. Absolutely incredible.
So they have puppy walkers in the same way as the guide dogs for the blind have puppy walkers, just to get them, generally habituated to normal household life.
And they're given instructions as to what they're supposed to be doing, and periodically they go in to see how they're getting on.
And then when they're a year old, they go into training for real.
Yep. And then hopefully very soon afterwards we'll go to their new owners. And the owners will come and stay on site with the dog. See how they get on. Great. But that's what happened when I went to see them, what I was told happening when I went to see them, which must be about 2 or 3 years ago now.
That must be really lovely, to not just to have puppies to go to, know that you're breeding a really good, solid, healthy dogs to go into pet homes and to make people happy, but also to know that you're helping people who are less able. It must feel wonderful.
Great. And I know that Cocker Spaniels love to help.
Yeah. I'll do that because of the job.
Yeah.
Definitely. No, I
Yeah.
get that. So, but Margaret, one of the things I definitely want to talk to you about is that, we did our writing journey together, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Published our first books around about the same time.
Yeah.
The Peck and Dog came out in 2010. When did your first book come out? It was 2010 as well, wasn't it?
Somewhere, I think it was about that. I can't really remember. It must be about that, yes.
Because I'll never forget mine coming out. So, and we did a couple of book fairs, didn't we? We did book
We
signings
did. We did.
together, and
Yes,
it was such good fun.
it was quite
And,
tiring.
yeah, really tiring, but it was good fun as well. It was really good fun being out and about with you. And you, let me see if I got this right, Terry Pratchett,
Bought one of my
or
books.
one of your books.
He did
Which is
indeed.
just like, oh my god, he's one
Yeah.
of my favourite all-time authors.
Yeah.
And when you told me he'd bought one of your books, I was like, oh god, why wasn't I at that fair with you?
That was the highlight of that day, I can tell you.
Of the day, it would have been the highlight of the year, the decade. Such an amazing author. So what started you writing?
Well, I've always written ever since I was a child, always made up stories, always enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And funnily enough, when my mother she came to live with us after my father died, for a couple of years before she sadly died. And she told me that she'd always wanted to be a writer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's in the genes.
It's in the genes. And then my brother, who also has sadly died, he was writing when he retired as well. He was in the Navy, Merchant Navy, and he was writing about pirates and things like that, modern day piracy, a novel about that. It was quite exciting. So it's in the family. We've obviously a family of people who enjoy writing.
Yeah.
But my grandfather was a very clever man, and he was very keen for his children to have good educations and make sure that they had to be able to do things, because his sisters apparently couldn't even boil an egg.
Okay.
Yeah. So his daughters weren't going. He had 3 daughters. So it weren't going to be like that.
Good for him.
So he was very keen on that and encouraged them. And I think it's just come down through the genes. If you want to do something, you get on and do it. Mind you, lockdown hasn't been helpful with the editing, although I am still struggling through it.
It hasn't? Have you found it difficult to do the editing?
Yeah. I find it quite difficult to settle down.
It's been a really unsettling time, hasn't it?
It has, and yet we've got nothing to complain about. We're so lucky where we are. I mean, I can take the dogs out onto Salisbury Plain, I go for long walks. But it's just the knowledge of it and the worry of it, and the thinking of people stuck in high-rise flats with children and things like that.
That's what I felt it for.
Yeah, it is really difficult. But there we go. Let's hope something positive comes out of it.
So what are you editing at the minute?
Relatively Alien. It's based in Wiltshire. And it's about a daughter who knows, or right from the word go, that her father was an alien. And she discovers that some of his relations come from his planet looking for him because he crash landed on Salisbury Plain many years earlier. Before she was born, obviously. And she tries to stop them finding him because she's scared if they do find him, he'll want to go back to his planet.
Oh, I'm saying, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I've read it. I think I was really lucky. I got to read it through for you, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I loved your other books as well. So I do want to talk to you about the first books that you wrote. And I always get the titles muddled up, so I'm going to let you did a trilogy.
Yeah.
And
the first one was One Sun, One Moon, Two Stars.
And that was started off at the Rufus Stone, didn't it?
It did, yeah, it did.
Forest.
When they go back in time.
And they go back in time, and it was really interesting because when I read that book, I didn't know about the Rufus Stone. And I was going down to the New Forest regularly to see my friend down at Bewley and picking up. And I didn't know anything about the Rufus Stone. So I made it my point to go and find out a bit. I can't remember now, but I can remember going in and having a look and looking information up about the Rufus Stone. It was so interesting. that a children's book about time travel really inspired me to go and find out about a place that I visited regularly. So
well, I love history. I love history, and so it's great to be able to put the two together in
why
fiction.
the New Forest? Why did you start at the Rufus Stone? Why the New Forest?
When Mother came to stay with us, to live with us, I used to take her out periodically, and we drove down to the New Forest one day for a day, and that's when it sort of struck me. You know, we went to see the Rufus Stone, and I said, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea." And that's when
just like that.
Just like that.
Just like that. And so the next book after One Son, what was that one?
Next book is
that The White Tower? That's
The White Tower, yes. You're quite right. Thank you. You know better than me.
I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed these three books. You know, I've got them and I thoroughly enjoyed reading them.
Thank you. So. The White Tower set in Tudor times.
Tudor times.
Yeah. In the first book, the children meet the Gleeman, who is a time traveller, and he's in all the books. And they also meet Sylvine, who's also a time traveller, but she's not a very nice person. She's also in all the books. So anyhow, the Gleeman actually gets trapped in Tudor England, up in the Tower of London. And the children get warned that this has happened. And so they go back in time to find him and rescue him. So that's the important there. And then the last one is The Diamond Dilemma. And that is about 1950s when the Queen was crowned, coronation.
Around the coronation.
Yeah. The Gleeman discovers that...
Okay.
Hello? I'm on the phone. I'm on the computer. Can I ring you back? Love you. Bye. That's Victoria. She's on her way to Denmark with Wolfric.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. I'm not going to edit that out because this is a real life podcast, so we're just going to go with it. So, Diamond
Dilemma. Yeah, it's about an assassination attempt on the Queen during the coronation, and the children have to go back to stop it.
It was a great trilogy, and you used to go into schools and read the books as well, didn't you, to the children? Yes. How lovely.
Yeah, great.
Why did you choose that age group?
I've always wanted to write for that age group.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah. And then this one, Relatively Alien, is set for more or less the same age group. I have written an adult book, which I quite like, and I keep meaning to go back and doing something with it, but it's not really my scene. I prefer the children's books.
Is my memory serving me right if I said Mills and Boon?
The adult one, yes.
Yes, I thought it was.
I was actually quite shocked when I was told that.
Okay, so one of your adult books was put forward as one of the Mills and Boon collections.
Well, it was apparently it was suggested by somebody wanted to read it and they enjoyed it, but they said they thought it was more suitable for Mills and Boon. That's where it came from.
Right.
Hence, I rather ditched it, I'm afraid.
Yes, it could have been 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, Margaret, I think it's amazing writing books for children because you have to get in touch with your inner child as well, don't you, and work out how to word things and word them in a way that's not too grown up, but also not patronising. And
well, I write as though I was writing for adults anyhow.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think it's really good for children to have to work things out and decide what is, if I come across a word, I have to look it up and find out what it means. Brilliant.
No, that's really good. So what are your plans going forward? Are you going to do have you got any more like this planned?
Yeah, I have actually. I've got several books upstairs. There's one book which I really would like. It's the first book I wrote, and it was written for younger children, and it's the one book that I really would like to get off.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Kanga Comes to Stay, and it's about a stuffed toy kangaroo. It's about this big.
Mm-hmm.
His Father Christmas takes him to a new home. She takes her to a new home because the children where she was living have grown out of having to have kanga. And the children wake up in the morning and find this rather scruffy kangaroo and think, this isn't very nice. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And they're a bit startled when the kangaroo starts talking to them.
Ah.
And they do lots of different adventures with her. They're able to get, although she's only this high, they're able to get into her pouch and go to different places.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. And so that's sitting on the bookshelf ready to be dusted off and finished?
Yeah. Rewritten.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Do you find your writing style's changed over the years?
I hope it's got better.
Uh-huh.
I really do hope it's got better. I think it has. I hope it has.
No, that's really cool. So, any other books planned other than the one about Kanga?
There's another one set in Wiltshire, which is based around Stonehenge. That's for slightly older children.
Lovely.
Yeah, but again, it needs dusting off. And
are you going to bring the interest and things in? Because I've just found that the Sarsen stones.
Yes, came from quite locally. Yeah, brilliant, Marlborough, on the Marlborough Plains. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's what's the little village outside of Marlborough where the thing that come from? Because I used to drive through. It's around the corner from, was it the Horse and Groom pub? You'd turn into, or was it the Fox? And you'd turn up, you'd drive through the little village and there would be all...
Kilmark? Was it Kilmark? No, I don't think it was.
No. You'd drive through the village and there'd be a little park, a little children's park on the left. And then there'd be a field and there'd be all these down Sarsen stones.
Oh, the Avebury?
Sarsen stones. No, not Avebury. Not that far. No, it was in Marlborough.
Was it?
Yeah. So on the way to Devizes out of Marlborough, you would sweep down, there'd be a pub on the left-hand side and you could turn left and cut across the back of the plains. And I can't remember, as soon as we stop talking, I'm going to remember. It's always the way, isn't it? And there was a little village there and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's where the stones came from, because there's just a field with them all, little...
Well, they reckon that they found the right site. It's in a wood, I think. That I thought
it was just outside of West Woods, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, how amazing. Amazing. So do you think you'll be bringing that richness into it, where they're from now in Marlborough?
Well, it could be.
It's been a bit of a mystery, hasn't it?
Yeah. It will be. I need to reread it. It's a long time since I've read it. But I need to finish Relatively Alien first.
Yes, you do. I want to read it again when you've updated.
Good, I'll send it to you. I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah, I'm very happy to, and Kenny is as well. Kenny does my proofreading.
Yes, he did.
So yeah, he'll.
I do appreciate it.
Great, and then I get it hot off the press, which is awesome. Great, Margaret. It's been so good to chat to you. It's been great catching up with you, and lovely talking about cockers. I've had so many people come on recently. And as soon as I've started talking to them about dogs, I've discovered that they really love Vizslas. And I kind of go, oh, another Vizsla person. Yay. Because, I do like the dogs. I don't think I would have one. But it's like, can we have a different breed? Can we have somebody talk about a different breed? So you watch now, I'm going to get loads and loads of cocker people on. And they'll be going, oh, another cocker. Can we have some other people on?
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Liz. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was great. It was lovely to talk to you, and it's really nice to talk to somebody who has got, the dog background, but they've got different things as well. I think there's, so many people love dogs, but we've all got our backstory, our background, haven't we? And it's so interesting what gets people into a certain breed. I just love it. I love it. So, Margaret, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for coming on, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.